What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and I hope you're all doing well today. This video is going to be a special one, at least for me. Basically, this is the 200th video I've put together for the channel, so I wanted to do something a little bit more personal. I decided I wanted to talk a bit about why I chose Rogue to be the focal point for the channel, which in turn talks about why I appreciate and have used the Rogue spec for, as I feel old, 15 years. Literally, and about 360 play days just on Zera, the one rogue that you see in literally every video on the channel. So I hope you enjoy this video. There will be some laughs here and there. If you're a rogue, you'll immediately get them, and if you're not a rogue, you'll probably still immediately get them too, as they're, well, I don't want to spoil it, so I hope you enjoy. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, but this is kind of off the cuff, so hopefully I don't ramble too much, and I apologize if so. I hopefully also won't forget anything that I want to mention. I guess I'll do a really quick version of my history of Rogue. Basically, I started playing WoW in 2005, and while Rogue wasn't the first class I made, it was like the third character I think was a Rogue. I made a warrior, and then a hunter, and then a rogue was, after like the first 2 months of bopping back and forth between those characters, I decided to play a rogue. And it wasn't the troll rogue that you all know and have seen in all my videos today. It was actually a night elf rogue, believe it or not. I ended up ditching that one after like a month or so, just like the other two, and then I decided to make horde characters, because all three of those first ones were alliance. There was 2 night elves and a dwarf. But then I made a troll rogue and have been there ever since. Now, the reason I gravitated towards Rogue wasn't because it was like super easy to level as, because as most of you who played back then, if you played a Rogue or if you've played Classic more recently, Rogues are not very easy to level, at least not solo. You don't have any self-healing other than bandages and food. We also didn't exactly have super OP defensives or a ton of them, or they were on longer cooldowns and you didn't get them as early as you do now. Which is a lot of what drew me into it, because I like challenges. I'm the type of person who, if I pick up a new game, I will try to play it on the hardest difficulty possible and spend 2 hours doing something that should only take 20 minutes. But the more I got into Rogue, the more I realized there were a lot of very unique things that rogues could do. You had lockpicking, and back then, disarming traps, and while stealth wasn't exactly a rogue-only thing, it was very unique for a melee DPS like that in a game I'd never played before, or any other MMO, to be able to sneak around and skip past a lot of stuff that would otherwise take forever to kill. I also really liked the unique resources that rogues had at the time, with combo points and energy regen, although I will say, much newer versions of Rogue starting in Mists of Pandaria have it way easier than it was back then, cause that was back when combo points didn't carry over between targets when they died like they do now, and energy grew in ticks instead of constantly regenerating. There's also just the immense amount of crowd control and utility we have against our opponents, with things like blind and sap and gouge and distract. Being able to just control exactly what and when your target is going to be able to do what they're allowed to do is very enticing and rewarding if you can do it correctly, so there's just a lot of strategy in the spec. Also, as we got further into newer expansions, the amount of defensives and the ability to cheese as much as we can as rogues is really awesome. To the point when sometimes when I get on my other alts that I haven't leveled yet, I just get really frustrated that I don't have basically total immunity to certain things. As rogues progressed throughout the expansions, we also started getting more niche playstyles, especially when Cataclysm came around and we had actual talent systems. And that's when combat, subtlety, and assassination actually became separate entities instead of just talent trees you specialized into. Before the Cataclysm rework of talent specialization, I basically decked out everything into the combat tree, even though that probably wasn't the best idea at the time, but this was also a simpler time where I didn't realize there were guides out there that told you exactly how many points and what points to put in everything. Once Cataclysm came around, I was first and foremost a combat rogue, though I did enjoy subtlety and assassination from time to time, like I do now. Then, with the class reworks at the end of Warlords, I switched over to Outlaw exclusively instead, just because I wanted to see exactly what they did to basically get rid of the spec that I'd known for forever. And at first it was a bit of a rocky start, but as of now, Outlaw is basically everything I could hope for in a rogue playstyle. It's fast, it has guns, it has swords, I mean, all around, it's just a really enjoyable spec to me, and it really captures a lot of the good things about combat, though I wish that there were a few things that had come back, like Bandit's Guile, and, a couple other niche things, like Killing Spree being baseline. Either way though, I guess this all brings me to why am I still attached to Rogue? I've played the same spec for forever, literally for 4 years. All of my major accomplishments of Mythic rating and high Mythic Plus scores and whatnot have all been as Outlaw. And even when my guildies or friends or whoever wants to do low-level keys on alt and stuff, I still just bring Zera, mainly because I don't have any time to level anything else because of the channel, which isn't entirely true, it's just an excuse that I use on them, don't tell them. But really, I just like playing Rogue. I don't think of anything else when I want to do a key or raid. That's the first thing I would think to do. I don't think, man, if I could be on a boomkin right now, I'd be so much happier playing the game that I've played for forever. I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's because it's what I've played for forever, but there's just something about having that attachment to a class that I don't think everyone has. I know a lot of folks that have dozens of alts, like all at max level, already all geared or relatively geared, and they switch around as needed, or maybe just because they're bored of this one for today or whatnot. I have never felt the need to have another character. So that's why I guess this comes as a loop around way to talking about why I made the channel and why I focused on Rogue stuff in the first place. I like to cover other things too. I love covering the add-on videos and the weak aura videos and just random little funny things that I find here and there. But I feel that Rogue is the one thing I have just a pretty intrinsic attachment to that, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best player. Well, I know I'm not the best player because I don't have like a 3K score and I'm not 12 of 12 Mythic and have a elite PvP ranking. But I just really enjoy Rogue, and it, I don't know, I would say speaks to me if it wasn't sounding silly like that, but it does. I don't know. There's just something about being a Rogue that you can't replicate that exact same feeling on any other class. There's ones that kind of play similar or have similar utility, but it's not the same as being a Rogue, and being a Rogue I think is different than having a Rogue. Which is part of when I started the channel, it was why I wanted to focus a lot on Rogue things, because it's something that I'm very attached to, and I think that having someone that's really attached to a topic that you want to know about makes it hopefully easier to learn and to realize that there's a certain like energy or a certain passion that goes into each class in the game, or wanting to learn about a class in the game, or just having that sort of connection to a class in the game. And with that, that's kind of what made me realize there were other things I could hopefully teach people, because after having been around this great big World of Warcraft for over 15 years at this point, I realized there's a lot of little things that I wish I had known sooner. And hopefully that at least some of this information helps someone new, or even if you're not new, someone who didn't go out looking for that certain bit of information that you might not have known about until coming across one of these videos. That's probably the biggest thing when I see someone who mentions in a comment that they didn't know this or they appreciated to learn about something. It's really awesome to hear and see, because it's that sort of stuff that I really wish that I could have done myself, because I hadn't thought to look this sort of stuff up back then, and I'm just glad that I can help someone learn the ropes, or even just learn a couple extra, maybe slightly more advanced tricks here and there, or just learn more about a game that they're passionate about, that's all. As you can probably tell, this video was virtually unscripted other than a few key talking points. But I kind of wanted to do that to make it as natural and organic as possible. So hopefully that got across to you folks, and I was still able to explain why I'm so attached to the Rogue spec even 15 years later, even when in raids we're not the super most meta thing ever. And even in Mythic Plus where we're still the most meta thing ever if you're Outlaw. Anyways, I hope you folks enjoyed the video. And before you ask, no actual players were harmed or trolled or griefed in the making of this video. Though it would have been really funny either way. It was actually really funny and fun to think of all the ideas for this footage, because I wanted the most, like, diabolically evil things that you can do as a rogue, which is another thing that makes Rogue so amazing. You can do diabolically evil things. Anyways, I hope you folks enjoyed the video. If so, please consider leaving a comment, a like, or sharing this with other folks that might find it humorous, or entertaining, interesting, or any other combination of cool things like that. And if you want, let me know in the comments if you have a class that you've really been attached to over the years, whether it's a rogue or not a rogue, because I know I have a lot of viewers from all classes in the game. But yeah. I also want to thank all of my regular viewers, commenters, subscribers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and for the 200th time, I'll see you guys around.